Mia was 25 years old, and she worked in a small library near her home. It was the 21st century, but the library still had many old books that no one ever touched. Mia loved her job. She enjoyed the quiet atmosphere, the smell of the books, and the soft sound of pages turning. One day, an old man entered the library. He was wearing an old brown coat, and his face was tired, like he had seen many years pass. Mia watched him as he walked slowly to the back of the library, where the oldest books were kept. These books were so old that nobody had read them in a long time. Mia became curious. She wondered why this old man was so interested in these forgotten books. The library was quiet that day. Not many people came in, so Mia didn't have to help anyone. She kept watching the old man. He pulled out a thick, dusty book and began to read it. Mia had never seen anyone take that book from the shelf before. Hours passed, and the old man didn't move. He kept reading, turning the pages slowly. Mia continued to watch him, but she started to feel tired. Her eyes felt heavy, and before she knew it, she had fallen asleep at the counter. Suddenly, Mia woke up. She looked around, but the old man was gone. She quickly walked to where he had been sitting. The book he had been reading was still there on the table, but the man had disappeared. Mia's curiosity grew stronger. She picked up the book and carefully opened it. Inside the book, she found something strange. A watch. But it wasn't like any modern watch she had seen before. It was an old pocket watch, made of silver with a small chain attached to it. The watch was smooth and shiny, but it had no numbers, except for one, the number 4. Mia turned the watch in her hand, and the number changed. Now it showed 3. She turned it again, and it showed 2. When she turned it for the 4th time, the watch showed 0. Suddenly, the room grew dark. A bright spark of light flashed before Mia's eyes, and everything around her began to blur. She couldn't see anything. When the light faded, she wasn't in the library anymore. She was standing in a large, ancient library with high wooden shelves and old scrolls. The people around her were dressed in long robes, wearing sandals, and speaking in a language she didn't understand. They looked nothing like the people in her time. Mia started to panic. She ran outside, hoping to find the world she knew. But outside, there were no tall buildings or cars. Instead, there were small shops, dirt roads, and horses. She felt lost and scared. Tears filled her eyes as she ran down a narrow street. Suddenly, she bumped into a man. "Help me!" she cried. "Please help me." The man looked confused. "What happened, miss? Why are you crying? I don't know where I am. I'm lost," Mia said, trying to calm herself. "I want to go home." The man looked at her kindly. "What's your name?" the man asked. "Mia," she replied. "My name is Harry," the man said. "Where is your home?" Harry asked. Mia shook her head. "It's not here. It's somewhere else. I'm not from this place." Harry looked at her strangely. "What do you mean? Where are you from?" Harry asked. Mia explained everything to him, the library, the old man, the watch, and how she had turned the numbers. Harry hesitated. He didn't believe her at first. But then Mia said, "Look at my clothes. Do I look like I'm from here?" Harry's eyes widened with realization. "Quick," he said, his voice urgent but calm. "I trust you, but we need to get you a proper dress. If people notice you don't belong here, they might capture you or worse." Mia's heart raced. She didn't fully understand what Harry meant. but something in his voice made her trust him. "Okay," she whispered. Harry grabbed her hand and led her through the crowded streets. They weaved between market stalls and old wooden shops until they reached a small clothing store. Inside, there were gowns of all colors hanging on the walls, rich blues, deep reds, and soft golds, all made from delicate fabrics that shimmered in the dim light. "Pick something quickly," Harry said, glancing around nervously. "We don't have much time." Mia's eyes fell on a beautiful gown, made of light blue silk with intricate embroidery along the edges. The gown was simple yet elegant, with long sleeves and a soft, flowing skirt. It felt like something out of a storybook. "This one," she said, holding it up. Harry nodded. "It's perfect. Try it on." Mia stepped behind a curtain to change. As she slipped into the gown, she couldn't believe how different she looked. The fabric hugged her gently, and when she walked, the skirt flowed like water. ... She felt like she had stepped into another world entirely. She walked out, and Harry smiled at her. "You look like you belong here now," he said. "No one will know you're from another time." Mia smiled back, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. She didn't know what would happen next, but with Harry by her side, she felt safer. Together, they walked out of the shop, blending into the world around them. After some time, seeing how hungry and tired Mia was, Harry took her to a small restaurant nearby. They sat down to eat, and Mia felt her stomach growl. The food smelled delicious, something she had never tasted before. As she ate, she said, "This is the best food I've ever had." Harry smiled. "I'm glad you like it." After they finished eating, Harry took Mia to his home. It was a small house made of wood and stone. He showed her to a room where she could rest. Mia was so tired that she fell asleep almost immediately. The next morning, Harry made breakfast for Mia. The smell of fresh bread and herbs filled the air. "This is amazing," Mia said as she ate. "I've never had anything like this." Harry smiled again, but then his face grew serious. "Mia," he said, "where is the watch?" Mia froze. She had forgotten all about the watch. "It was with me in the library," she said, panicking. "We have to go back." They ran back to the library. Mia's heart raced. What if the watch was gone? But when they arrived, the watch was still there, sitting on the table where she had left it. Mia felt a rush of relief. "I can go home now," she said, picking up the watch. But when she looked at Harry, she saw sadness in his eyes. "I don't want you to go," Harry said quietly. "I've never met anyone like you. I love you." Mia felt her heart ache. She had grown to care for Harry, too. "I've never had such a wonderful time with anyone before," she said. "I love you too, but I have to go back. My family is waiting for me." Harry looked down, his voice heavy with emotion. "I would leave everything here for you. I want to come with you." Mia shook her head, tears in her eyes. "I don't know if that's possible." They held the watch together, and just like before, the world around them grew dark. A bright light surrounded them, and when Mia opened her eyes, she was back in the library. She looked around and saw her mum and dad rushing toward her, their faces full of worry. "Where have you been?" her mother cried. "We've been looking for you for 2 days." Mia didn't understand. It had only felt like one day to her. She was too tired to explain, so her parents took her home, and she fell asleep. The next day, Mia asked her mother, Did you see a boy with me in the library? Her mother shook her head. No, you were alone. We found you lying on the library floor. Mia felt a deep sadness. She realized that Harry hadn't been able to come back with her, but she loved him and couldn't forget him. She went back to the library, hoping to find the watch or the book, but they were gone. Mia remembered Harry had told her his full name and the year he was born. She went to the local graveyard and asked the caretaker to look for that name. After some time, they found a grave with the exact name and date of birth. Mia knelt by the grave, tears falling down her cheeks. I love you, Harry, she whispered. She began planting flowers near the grave, and as she dug into the earth, she found something shiny. It was the watch. The end.